Hello, my good friends. How are you today? May God bless you all. I will not introduce anything. You guys watch the video and feel it. Then let's evaluate together. The Wyoming sky was a bruised, churning beast, spitting rain like it had a personal grudge. At the Carpenter Ranch, a modest spread of 80 acres nestled in the wide-open plains, Emma Jackson stood on the creaky porch, her breath fogging in the cold. She was 28, black with a fierce glint in her eyes and a shotgun gripped tight in her calloused hands. Her flannel shirt clung to her shoulders, soaked through, and her curly hair, usually tied back with a bandana, was plastered to her neck. Dusty, the ranch's old sheepdog, was losing his damn mind, barking sharp and frantic into the night. "Quiet, boy," Emma snapped, but Dusty kept at it, ears pinned, nose pointed toward the barn. Something was out there, and it wasn't just the storm. Thunder growled low, and the wind dragged sheets of rain across the earth like ghostly fingers. Emma's heart thudded loud enough to rival the rain hammering the tin roof. She grabbed the flashlight from the porch rail, its beam slicing through the dark as she stepped into the mud boots, splashing in puddles. The barn loomed ahead, a hulking shadow against the storm. Dusty growled his hackles up, zeroing in on the far side near the corral. Emma steadied the flashlight, her other hand tight on the shotgun. That's when she saw him, a man slumped against the barn wall, soaked to the bone, jeans caked in mud. One leg stretched out like it wouldn't work. His face was half hidden under a battered cowboy hat, but the hand he raised, slow and trembling, caught her eye. Blood streaked his palm. "Don't shoot," he croaked, voice raw like gravel mixed with desperation. "Just need a place out the rain. Not looking for trouble, I swear." Emma kept the shotgun leveled, her pulse hammering in her ears. "Who the hell are you? And what are you doing on my land?" He shifted, wincing, and the flashlight caught his face, sharp jawline, stubble thick from days without a razor. Eyes bloodshot but clear, like they held a truth she couldn't read yet. His jacket, though torn, looked like expensive leather, not the cheap shit drifters wore. "Name's Caleb," he said. "Ain't got nowhere else to go. Just one night I'll be gone by sunrise." Every instinct screamed to call the sheriff, but something in his eyes, some tired, honest weight, made her pause. She glanced back at the house, its windows glowing faintly behind curtains where her father Walter was probably asleep with one eye open. She made a call, one she'd likely catch hell for later. "You stay in the barn," she said, voice hard. "One night, you touch anything or try anything stupid, I'll blow a hole in you so big it'll echo in Colorado." Caleb's lips twitched almost a smile, but exhaustion carved deep lines in his face. "Understood, ma'am." She gestured to the barn door, hay in the back stall blanket in the tack room. "Get your rest, then get lost." He nodded, limping through the barn doors, each step a grimace. Emma followed with the flashlight, watching like a hawk. Inside he sank onto a pile of hay, like a felled tree, breath ragged. She lingered, then turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. "Thank you. Mean that." "Don't make me regret it," she shot back. Back in the house, Emma set the shotgun by the door and peeled off her wet jacket. The floor creaked behind her. Walter Jackson stood in the hallway, arms crossed, face like a thundercloud. "You gonna tell me who the hell's sleeping in our damn barn, or do I need to grab my gun and find out myself?" Emma's stomach dropped. Should have known he'd wake up. "It's a guy," she admitted. Hurt looked like he'd been through hell, just needed a dry spot for the night. Walter narrowed his eyes. "You don't know him from a damn rattlesnake. Could be one of those bastards stealing livestock out west. Or worse." "I know," she said, meeting his gaze. "But something in me said he's not here to steal. He's broken Pa. I saw it." Walter exhaled hard through his nose. "You got a soft heart, girl. That'll get you hurt one day." He turned and shuffled back to his room, muttering, Damn fool, daughter of mine. Emma peeled off her damp clothes, pulled on a sweatshirt, and lay down. But sleep was a stranger. Outside, the storm slowed to a whisper. In the barn, a stranger with blood on his leg and secrets in his eyes slept among her horses. And for reasons she couldn't name, Emma felt the air shift, like Caleb's arrival had nudged her life onto a path she hadn't planned. Morning broke with a soft lavender sky, the kind that made Wyoming feel like God's own canvas. Emma stood on the porch, sipping black coffee, her gaze fixed on the barn. It was still silent, like last night was a dream. The screen door creaked and Walter stepped out, binoculars around his neck, his face a mix of suspicion and scorn. "Let's see what kind of mess you brought home," he muttered, pushing past her. Emma followed down the dirt path, boots crunching in the quiet. Inside the barn, the smell of hay and damp earth hit her, along with a faint rustle. Caleb was awake, standing in the far stall, shirtless, his wound bandaged with strips torn from his own flannel. Despite the injury, he was brushing down Dusty, a skittish quarter horse that usually shied from strangers. The horse nuzzled his shoulder, calm as a kitten. Walter froze. "Well, I'll be damned." Caleb looked up, eyes wary. "Mornin'." "Hope I didn't overstep." The chestnut mare was limping a bit. "Thought I'd check her." Walter's voice was flat. "You a vet?" "No, sir," Caleb said, "but I know horses grew up round 'em." His hands moved with a quiet confidence, wrapping the mare's leg with a precision that didn't match his ragged look. Emma noticed something else, a glint of metal under his rolled-up sleeve, a watch that looked way too fancy for a drifter. "He's not hurting anyone." "Pa," Emma said, stepping in. Walter shot her a look, but stayed quiet. Caleb leaned against the stall, favoring his good leg. "I'll be gone soon. Just need a day or two to rest the leg. That offer still stand?" Emma nodded slowly. "Yeah, and if you want to earn your keep, there's fencing needs fixing on the north ridge." Walter raised a brow. "You sure that's smart? Giving tools to a stranger?" Caleb met his eyes. "You think I'm here to rob you of a hammer and some barbed wire?" Walter stared, then grunted and walked out. Emma lingered. "You always this good with horses?" Caleb's voice softened. "Sometimes I think they get me better than people do." His eyes held hers, and for a moment she saw something grounded, a quiet strength beneath the scars. She nodded, then turned to get him some breakfast. But as she left, a beat-up truck rumbled down the drive. Hank Wheeler, the 35-year-old farmer from the next ranch over, swung out his flannel stretched tight over his broad shoulders. He carried a stack of firewood, grinning like he'd won the lottery morning. "Emma, figured you'd need this with winter coming. Can't have you freezing out here." Emma sighed. Hank was a widower, good-hearted but clingy as hell, always finding excuses to help her. "Thanks, Hank, but we're good on wood." He set the stack down anyway, then noticed Caleb limping out of the barn. His grin faltered. "Who's this?" Before Emma could answer, a squeaky voice cut through. "Oh my gosh, is that him?" Lila Thompson, 22, blonde and wide-eyed, hopped out of a rusty sedan clutching a tray of cookies. She worked at the town's diner and had a reputation for falling hard and fast. Her cheeks flushed as she zeroed in on Caleb. "I heard there was a cowboy staying here, so I made these. For you." Caleb blinked, caught off guard. Thanks, miss." Lila thrust the tray forward, tripped, and the cookies hit the dirt. "Oh no, I'm so sorry." She scrambled to pick them up, her face tomato red. Emma crossed her arms. A flicker of annoyance, or was it jealousy, in her chest. Hank, sensing competition, puffed up Emma. "You don't need some stranger fixing fences. I can handle that for you. Free of charge." Tina, Emma's 17-year-old sister, appeared at the porch, smirking. "Hank, you broke our gate last time you helped." "Sit down." She flipped her braids, her earbuds blasting some pop song, and tossed Caleb a curious glance. Emma rubbed her temples. "Y'all just go home. We got work to do." "We got." By mid-afternoon, Caleb was out on the North Ridge, shirt back on his limp, slowing him, but not stopping him. He hammered posts with a focus that made Emma pause. She watched from the porch, a pitcher of lemonade in hand, questions swirling. Who was this guy? No drifter knew horses like that, or wore a watch that could buy her truck twice over. She walked over boots, kicking up dust. "Thought you could use this." He took the glass, his fingers brushing hers, sending a spark up her arm. "Thanks, ma'am." "Don't call me that," she said, half smiling. "Emma's fine, Emma," he repeated like he was tasting the word. He drank slowly, eyes scanning the horizon. "Nice land you got here. Feels real." She tilted her head. "You got family out there somewhere?" He hesitated. "Had an uncle long gone, parents passed a while back. Brother, that's complicated." "Texas," she pressed. He nodded. "Used to have land. Big land, but it ain't worth much if the people around you can't be trusted." His tone darkened, and she didn't push. Just then, Dusty trotted over something in his mouth, a crumpled business card. Emma knelt, prying it free. It read, "Rollins Tech Solutions. Caleb Rollins, CEO." Her eyes flicked to him. "This yours?" Caleb's jaw tightened like she'd uncovered a scar. "Yeah, old life. You're not just some cowboy, are you?" He met her gaze. "No, I'm not." Before she could dig deeper, Lila's sedan rolled up again. She hopped out this time with a pie. Her dress a little too tight for ranch work, Caleb. "I made apple pie." "It's better than the cookies, I swear." Emma's eyes narrowed. "Lila, you got a diner to run, don't you?" Lila blushed. "Oh, right, I just wanted to help." She thrust the pie at Caleb, who took it with a polite nod, clearly uncomfortable. Hank's truck pulled up next because of course it did. He jumped out, carrying a toolbox. "Emma, I noticed your gate's squeaking. I'll fix it right up." Tina, lounging nearby, cackled. "Hank, you gonna break it worse. And Lila girl, chill with the desserts. He ain't starving." Emma groaned. "Y'all are gonna drive me to drink." Caleb's lips twitched, the first real smile she'd seen. "Busy place. You got here." "Yeah," she muttered. "Too damn busy." That evening, Emma sat in the kitchen, the smell of gumbo simmering on the stove, a recipe from her mama, who'd been a force in Chicago's community before cancer took her. The radio played low. Some old Aretha Franklin, and Emma hummed along, her fingers tracing the silver necklace she never took off. Tina burst in, holding Caleb's business card. "Sis, this dude's loaded, like CEO loaded. You sure he's not playing us?" Emma frowned. "I don't know, Tina, but he's not like the usual drifters. There's something about him." Walter shuffled in, overhearing. "Something like trouble. You keep that shotgun close, girl." Emma nodded, but her mind was on Caleb, his hands on the horse, his eyes when he said her name. Outside, the Wyoming stars blinked on, and in the barn, a man with a fortune and a secret slept on her hay. She didn't know it yet, but that stormy night had cracked open a door to a future she'd never imagined. "Hey, folks," did your heart race when Emma let Caleb stay despite the storm and the secrets? Is Lila's crush gonna stir up trouble, or will Hank's puppy dog loyalty win Emma over? This is just the start of a wild ride. Hit that subscribe button for soul-stirring stories. Drop a comment. Do you think Caleb's a millionaire hero or a smooth-talking liar? We want to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned for the next chapter. The Wyoming sun hung low, painting the Carpenter Ranch in shades of gold and amber. Emma Jackson leaned against the porch railing, her coffee gone cold, eyes scanning the north ridge where Caleb Rollins was still hammering fence posts. His limp was less noticeable now, but the way he moved methodical, almost too precise for a cowboy, kept her curious. That damn business card. Rollins Tech Solutions. CEO burned a hole in her mind. Who the hell was this guy, and why was he hiding out on her land? Tina burst through the screen door, earbuds dangling, her braids swinging. Sis, you staring at that cowboy like he's the last slice of pie. Spill it, what's the deal? Emma shot her a look. Ain't no deal, Tina. He's fixing fences. Not my damn love life. Tina smirked. Uh-huh. Sure. Bet Lila's got a different story. Girl's out here baking like she's trying to win. Top chef for Caleb's heart. Emma rolled her eyes but couldn't help a chuckle. Lila Thompson had been back twice since yesterday, each time with some new dessert, and a blush that could light up a barn. Emma wasn't jealous. Hell, she barely knew Caleb, but Lila's puppy dog act was starting to grate. And then there was Hank Wheeler, the neighbor who thought helping meant showing up with tools and a grin that screamed, "Pick me!" This ranch was turning into a damn soap opera. Speak of the devil, Emma muttered, as Hank's beat-up truck rumbled down the drive. He hopped out carrying a toolbox and a sack of apples, his flannel stretched tight over his shoulders, like he'd picked it a size too small on purpose. "Mornin'," Emma, Hank called, striding over. "Brought you some apples from my orchard. Figured you could use 'em for pie or whatever you do with apples." Emma raised a brow. "Hank, we got a whole damn tree out back. But thanks." He grinned, undeterred, and set the sack on the porch. "Also noticed your gate's still squeaking. I can fix that right up, no charge." Tina snorted from the steps. "Hank, you gonna break it again? Last time you fixed something, we had to replace the hinges." Hank's ears turned pink, but he laughed it off. "Aw, Tina, I'm getting better. I swear." His eyes flicked toward the ridge where Caleb was wiping sweat from his brow. "That guy's still here, huh? What's his story?" Before Emma could answer, a rusty sedan screeched to a stop, and Lila Thompson spilled out, clutching a tray of brownies. Her blonde ponytail bounced, and her sundress was a little too short for ranch work. "Emma, Tina, I made brownies. Is Caleb around?" She glanced toward the ridge, cheeks flaming. Emma crossed her arms. "Lila, you got a diner to run, don't you?" "Oh, right." Lila giggled, nervous. "I just thought he might be hungry. Cowboys work hard, you know." Tina leaned in, whispering, "Girl, you're thirstier than a cactus in July." Emma stifled a laugh, but her patience was thinning. "He's working. Leave the brownies on the porch." "Lila, I'll make sure he gets them." Lila nodded, setting the tray down, but her eyes lingered on Caleb like he was a damn movie star. As she drove off, Hank muttered, "She's gonna bake that man into a sugar coma." Emma shook her head. "Y'all are gonna drive me up the damn wall." By noon, the air was thick with the smell of dust and pine. Emma headed to the barn to check on the horses, her boots kicking up dirt. Inside, Caleb was brushing down Bandit, the ranch's wildest quarter horse, who stood calm under his touch. The sight stopped her cold. Bandit didn't trust anyone, not since Mama died. Yet here he was, nuzzling Caleb's shoulder like an old friend. "You got a gift," Emma said, leaning against the stall. Caleb glanced up, his hazel eyes catching the light. "Horses are easy. They don't lie." He patted Bandit's flank, and Emma noticed the watch again, sleek, expensive, out of place on a man covered in hay dust. She stepped closer. "That watch ain't exactly cowboy gear, and that business card Tina found, CEO. You gonna tell me what's up, or do I have to drag it out of you?" Caleb's hand froze mid-brush, his jaw tight. For a moment she thought he'd dodged the question, but he set the brush down and faced her. "I used to run a company, tech agriculture stuff. Made a lot of money. But money don't mean shit when your own blood's trying to bleed you dry. Your brother, she guessed, remembering his cryptic comment about family. Cousin, he corrected, voice low. Mason. He's got lawyers' money and a hard-on for taking what's mine. I left Texas to get clear of him. Didn't expect to end up here. Emma studied him, searching for a lie, but his eyes held steady. So you're what, a millionaire playing cowboy? He gave a bitter laugh. Something like that. But I ain't playing, Emma. I know work, and I owe you for taking me in. She wanted to press, but the barn door swung open, and Malik Carter, the town's veterinarian, strolled in, his dreads tied back, a grin splitting his face. Yo, Emma heard you got a mystery cowboy. This him. He sized Caleb up, then spotted the watch. Damn, man, you wearing a Patek Philippe to fix fences. That's some baller shit. Caleb shifted, uncomfortable. Just a watch? Malik laughed, clapping Emma's shoulder. Girl, you got a whole drama unfolding here. Lila's out there baking her heart out. Hank's trying to be your personal lumberjack. And now you got Richie Rich playing ranch hand. I need popcorn. Emma smirked. Shut up, Malik. You here to check the horses or gossip? Both, he said, winking. Bandit's looking good, though. Your boy's got skills. He nodded at Caleb, then leaned in to whisper. Watch out. Emma Lila's got hearts in her eyes, and Hank's one bad day from proposing. Get out of here, she said, shoving him playfully. But as Malik left, she caught Caleb watching her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Her stomach did a little flip, and she cursed herself for it. That evening, Emma was in the kitchen stirring a pot of gumbo, the spicy aroma filling the house. Aretha Franklin's Respect played soft on the radio, and she swayed a little, humming. The recipe was her mama's, a piece of Chicago she carried to Wyoming. Tina sat at the table scrolling on her phone, but her eyes kept darting to Emma. Sis, you like him, don't you? Tina said, smirking. Emma didn't look up. Who don't play dumb? Caleb. You're all soft-eyed when he's around. Emma snorted. Girl, I'm trying to keep this ranch from falling apart, not chasing some cowboy with a Rolex. Uh-huh, Tina said, unconvinced. Bet Lila's already planning their wedding. She was back this afternoon with cupcakes. Cupcakes, Emma. Who's got time for that? Emma groaned. She's gonna bury us in sugar. The door creaked and Caleb stepped in, hat in hand, his shirt streaked with dirt. Smells good in here, he said, pausing at the threshold. Didn't mean to barge in. You're fine, Emma said, ignoring the way her pulse picked up gumbo's almost ready. You hungry? He nodded, stepping closer. Haven't had a home-cooked meal in a while. What's that you're humming? Old song, she said, stirring the pot. Mama used to sing it, Wade in the Water. You know it. Caleb's eyes softened. Yeah, my ma loved soul music, used to play Aretha when she cooked. Felt like the whole house was alive. Emma looked at him, surprised. Didn't peg you for a soul music guy. There's a lot you don't know about me, he said, his voice low, almost teasing. Tina coughed dramatically. Okay, y'all, I'm out before this gets weird. She grabbed her phone and bolted, leaving them alone. Emma turned back to the stove, but the air felt heavier now. Charged Caleb leaned against the counter, watching her. You miss her, your ma. Every damn day. Emma said, her voice quieter. She was the heart of this place. Taught me how to keep going, even when folks look at you like you don't belong. Caleb's brow furrowed. Folks give you trouble 'cause you're black some, she admitted. Not outright, usually. Little things, stares, whispers. But I'm tougher than they think. He nodded like he understood more than he let on. You're tougher than most. Emma. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the world was just the two of them. The gumbo simmering, the radio humming. Then the door flew open, and Lila stumbled in, holding a tray of cupcakes. Her face lit up like Christmas. Emma, Caleb, I made these for... Oh! She froze, seeing them close, and the tray tipped cupcakes, hitting the floor. Damn it! Lila, Emma snapped, then softened. Sorry, just watch where you're going. Lila's eyes welled up. I'm so sorry, I just wanted to help. She knelt to clean up her hands, shaking. Caleb crouched to help, and Lila's blush deepened. You're so nice, Caleb. I mean, not that you're not nice, Emma. I just... Girl? Breathe, Emma said, half laughing, but inside, a tiny spark of irritation, or was it jealousy, flared. The next morning, Emma was checking the horses when a sleek black Range Rover roared down the drive, kicking up dust like a middle finger to the ranch's peace. Walter stepped onto the porch, shotgun in hand, not raised, but ready. Emma joined him, her stomach twisting. The driver's door opened, and a man in a tailored suit stepped out, his boots too clean for Wyoming dirt. His smile was all teeth, like a snake trying to sell you something. Mornin', he drawled, pushing up his sunglasses. Beautiful place you got here. I'm Mason Rollins. Looking for someone named Caleb Rollins. Heard he's been through this way. Walter's grip tightened on the shotgun. Why? Mason's smile didn't falter, but his eyes were cold. Family business, legal misunderstandings, just trying to tie up loose ends. Emma's blood chilled. She glanced at the barn where Caleb was working. What's your name again? She asked. Stalling Mason Rollins, he repeated, turning to her. And you must be Emma. Heard. You've been real kind to my cousin. Appreciate it. But Caleb's not the man he pretends to be. Got folks in Texas wanting to ask him some hard questions. Walter stepped forward. What kind of man brings a fancy car and a bullshit story to a ranch run by a woman and her pa? Mason chuckled, but it was hollow. Let's not make this something it ain't. I'm offering a peaceful solution. But if Caleb's hiding here, it's trespassing, aiding, and harboring. Don't want to involve the sheriff, do you? Emma's jaw clenched. He ain't here. Mason tilted his head like he knew she was lying. That. So. Well, I'll be around a few days. Give y'all time to think it over. Meantime, keep an eye on your livestock. Lot of things can go wrong out here. Is that a damn threat? Emma snapped. Just neighborly advice, Mason said, climbing back into the SUV. The engine roared and the dust swallowed his retreat. Walter turned to Emma, his face hard. You lied to that bastard. Caleb's in the barn, ain't he? Yeah, she admitted. I don't know why, Pa, but I don't trust that Mason guy. He's slimy as hell. Walter exhaled. You're playing with fire, girl. Hope to God you're right about this, cowboy. That night, Emma found Caleb in the barn, sitting on a hay bale, staring at a crumpled photo. He slid it into his pocket as she approached, but not before she caught a glimpse, a woman, maybe his mother. They found you, she said, leaning against the stall. Figured they would, he said, voice heavy. Mason's been hunting me since I left Texas. Why didn't you tell me he was after you? She asked, crossing her arms. Caleb looked up, his eyes raw. Because he wants what he always wanted, my company, my money, my damn life, my money. He tried to steal it through the courts then by ruining my name. Said I was unstable, dangerous, even filed papers to have me locked up. Emma's breath caught. Can he do that? No, but he can make people believe it. If I'm alone. He stood wincing as he put weight on his leg. I can leave, Emma, if it puts you in danger. You're not going anywhere, she cut in. Not till we know what we're up against. He looked at her, really looked, and for a moment the walls he'd built seemed to crack. Why you doing this? You don't owe me shit. She shrugged, her voice softer. Maybe I'm just tired of seeing people get kicked when they're down. Outside, the wind picked up. A coyote howled in the distance. The storm wasn't over, not by a long shot. The Wyoming nights were always quiet, but tonight the silence felt heavy, like the air was holding its breath. Emma Jackson sat at the kitchen table, the glow of a single lamp casting shadows on the walls. The gumbo was long gone, but the scent lingered, mixing with the faint pine drifting through the cracked window. She traced the silver necklace at her throat, her mama's old gift, and tried to shake the unease that had settled in her gut since Mason Rollins' visit. That slick bastard's threat, "Keep an eye on your livestock," kept replaying in her head. Tina was sprawled on the couch, earbuds and humming some pop song, but her eyes kept darting to Emma. "You okay, sis? You look like you're waiting for a ghost to pop out." Emma forced a smile. "Just thinking, Tina. Go to bed. You got school tomorrow." "Bish. School can wait. I want to know what's up with you and Mr. Millionaire, cowboy." Tina grinned, dodging the dish towel Emma tossed at her. "Ain't nothing up," Emma said, but her voice lacked conviction. Caleb Rollins was a puzzle she couldn't solve, a man with a fortune and a busted leg hiding out in her barn. And those eyes, damn it. They looked at her like they saw more than she meant to show. Outside, Dusty's bark cut through the quiet, sharp and urgent. Emma froze her hand instinctively, reaching for the shotgun propped by the door. "Tina." "Stay here," she said, voice low. Tina sat up, eyes wide. "What's wrong?" "Just stay put." Emma grabbed the flashlight, her boots hitting the floorboards as she moved. The night was clear now, stars blinking like they didn't care about the trouble brewing below. Dusty's barks turned to growls coming from the barn. Her heart pounded as she stepped into the cold, the beam of her flashlight slicing through the dark. The barn door was ajar, which it shouldn't have been. She eased it open, shotgun ready, and the smell of hay and blood hit her like a slap. In the far corner, under the dim glow of a hanging bulb, Caleb was on the ground, 3 shadows looming over him. One had a boot pressed to his chest. Another held a crowbar. Blood trickled from Caleb's temple, his face twisted in pain, but defiant. "You should have stayed gone." Rollins, the biggest thug, hissed, his voice like gravel. "This land's worth more than your damn pride." Emma's grip tightened, her finger itching on the trigger. But before she could move, a crack split the air. A rifle shot, loud and final. The thug with the crowbar dropped, clutching his shoulder, screaming. The other 2 spun around, and there was Walter Jackson stepping out of the shadows behind the barn. His hunting rifle, steady eyes cold as steel. "You got 3 seconds to get the hell off my land," Walter said, voice flat and terrifying. "Or the next one goes through a lung." The uninjured thugs hesitated, then bolted, dragging their wounded buddy between them, cursing as they stumbled into the dark. Emma dropped to her knees beside Caleb, her hands shaking as she checked his face. "You okay? Talk to me." "I'm fine," he gasped, wincing as he touched his temple. "Head's harder than it looks." Walter walked over, rifle still in hand, his boots stopping beside them. He crouched, pulling a bandana from his pocket. "Hold still," he said, pressing it to Caleb's wound with surprising care. "Knew that bastard Mason was slimy, but sending thugs to beat you senseless on my land, that's personal." Caleb coughed, a pained laugh escaping. "You came back for me." "Don't get misty-eyed," Walter grunted. "You were 10 seconds from being horse feed." He sat back, exhaling hard. "Should have told me who you really were. Didn't think you'd believe me." Caleb said, his voice rough. "You're right. I wouldn't have." Walter's eyes flicked to Emma, then back to Caleb. "But I saw how you handled that horse. How you fixed that fence, like it mattered. Hell, how my daughter looks at you." Emma's face burned. "Pa." Walter held up a hand. I ain't stupid, Emma, and I ain't blind, but I'm also not the type to shoot a man for carrying ghosts. He stood, cracking his back. Get him cleaned up. We'll talk in the morning. As Walter walked out, Emma helped Caleb sit up. Her hands steady despite the adrenaline. You scared the shit out of me, she muttered, brushing dirt from his cheek. Sorry, he said, his voice softer now. Didn't mean to bring this to your door. She shook her head, grabbing a first aid kit from the tack room. Shut up and let me fix you. The barn was quiet now, the only sound the soft rustle of hay and the occasional snort from the horses. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, cleaning Caleb's wound with alcohol wipes, the lamp casting a warm glow over them. His shirt was off, revealing a lean, scarred torso that spoke of a life harder than any CEO's. Her fingers brushed his skin and she felt him tense, his breath hitching. Hold still, she said, focusing on the cut to avoid his eyes. But the air was thick, charged with something she couldn't name. The lamp flickered, and for a moment it was just them, the world outside forgotten. Emma, Caleb said, his voice low, rough. I don't know how to thank you for all of this. You can start by not getting beat up again, she said, trying to keep it light. But when she looked up, his eyes were locked on hers, intense, unguarded. Her hand stilled, the wipe. Forgotten. I don't want you scared because of me, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He reached out his fingers, grazing hers, warm and calloused. The touch sent a spark through her, and before she could think, she was leaning in, or maybe he was, and their lips met, hard, desperate, like they'd both been holding back too long. His hand slid to her neck, pulling her closer, and her flannel slipped off one shoulder. The heat of his skin against hers, setting her nerves on fire. She tasted blood and sweat. But it didn't matter. All she felt was him. The weight of his touch, the need in his kiss. Her hands found his chest, fingers digging into muscle, and he groaned softly, deepening the kiss. The world narrowed to this moment, this barn, this man who'd stumbled into her life and turned it upside down, but before it could go further, a sharp bark cut through. Dusty, damn him, yapping at the barn door. They pulled apart, breathless. Emma's face flushed. Caleb's eyes wide with a mix of want and surprise. Chet Tiet. Emma muttered, half laughing. That dog's got the worst timing in Wyoming. Caleb grinned, but it was shaky. Yeah, he's a damn buzzkill. The barn door creaked, and Hank Wheeler poked his head in, holding a bottle of antiseptic. His face, a mix of concern and awkwardness. Emma. Heard the shots. Thought you might need this for whoever's hurt. His eyes landed on Caleb shirtless, and Emma, her shirt askew and his ears turned red. I'll just leave this here. He set the bottle down and bolted the door, slamming behind him. Emma groaned, burying her face in her hands. This place is a damn circus. Caleb chuckled, wincing as he touched his wound. You got a lot of folks looking out for you. Yeah, too many, she said, but her voice was soft. She grabbed the antiseptic, her hands steadier now. Let's get you patched up before Lila shows up with a cake or some shit. The next morning, the ranch was buzzing not with trouble, but with people. Word of the attack had spread, and the community was circling the wagons. Mrs. Dolores, the nosy neighbor, with a heart bigger than her mouth, showed up with a casserole and a lecture. Emma Jackson, you got a damn vigilante camp out here, shooting and brawling. What's next? A saloon fight. Emma smirked, setting the casserole on the table. Dolores, you're gonna gossip this into a Hollywood movie. Damn right I am, Dolores said, then lowered her voice. That Caleb fella, he's trouble, but the good kind. You keep him close. Here. Malik rolled in next, checking Caleb's wound with a grin. Man, you got beat up and still got Emma playing nurse. Smooth. Cowboy smooth. He winked at Emma, who flipped him off, but couldn't hide her smile. Lila was the last to show her sedan screeching to a stop. She ran to the barn, eyes red, clutching a thermos of coffee. "Caleb, I heard you got hurt and I was so worried." She threw her arms around him, nearly knocking him over, her voice trembling. "You're okay, right? I prayed all night." Caleb caught off guard, patted her shoulder awkwardly. "I'm fine." "Lila, thanks for the coffee." Emma's jaw tightened, a flicker of something jealousy, maybe twisting in her chest. She stepped forward, voice sharp. "Lila, he's patched up. Why don't you head back to the diner? We got this." Lila's face fell, but she nodded, backing off. "Okay, I just wanted to help." She glanced at Caleb one last time, then left her shoulders slumped. Malik whistled low. "Damn, Emma, you marking your territory or what?" "Shut up," she snapped. But her cheeks burned. Caleb caught her eye, a faint smirk playing on his lips, and she turned away, busying herself with the coffee thermos to hide her flustered state. By afternoon, Emma and Caleb were back at work repairing a broken gate near the corral. The sun was high, the air warm, and the tension from last night lingered like a low hum. Caleb moved slower, his wound still tender, but he didn't complain. Emma watched him, the way his hands worked, the tools steady and sure, like he'd been born to this life, despite the millions in his bank account. "You don't have to do this, you know," she said, handing him a nail. "You're hurt. Go rest." He shook his head, hammering the nail in. "I'm not the sittin' type, and I owe you, Emma, more than you know." She crossed her arms. "You keep saying that, but I ain't keeping score. Just don't bring more of Mason's goons to my door." He paused, his eyes darkening. "I'll handle Mason, one way or another." Before she could press, Hank's truck pulled up, and he hopped out carrying a new gate hinge like it was a trophy. "Emma, figured you'd need this for the gate. I can install it, no problem." Emma sighed. "Hank, we're good." "Really?" But Hank was already at the gate tools in hand, and within minutes, he'd managed to drop the hinge on his foot, cursing loud enough to scare the horses. "Son of a bitch!" he yelped, hopping on one leg. Tina, watching from the porch, doubled over, laughing. "Hank, you're a damn disaster. Stick to apples, man." Caleb stifled a chuckle, and Emma shook her head, a grin breaking through. "Hank, go home before you break something else for you." Hank limped back to his truck, muttering, but threw Emma a hopeful smile. "I'll check in tomorrow." "Okay." "Yeah, sure," she said, waving him off. As his truck disappeared, she caught Caleb watching her, his expression unreadable. "What?" she asked, raising a brow. "Nothing," he said, but his voice was warm. "Just thinking you got a lot of people who'd fight for you." She shrugged, but her heart gave a little thump. "Yeah, well, I fight for myself." He nodded, like he respected that more than anything I know you do. That night, Emma lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the memory of Caleb's kiss burning in her mind. It wasn't just the heat of it, though, that was plenty. It was the way he'd looked at her like she was the only thing keeping him anchored. But Mason's threat loomed, and Lila's clinginess. Hank's puppy dog loyalty and the whole damn town sticking their noses in weren't helping. She didn't know what Caleb was running from, not really. But one thing was clear, he wasn't just passing through. And maybe, just maybe, she didn't want him to. Outside the Wyoming sky was endless stars scattered like promises, in just wanted to help. She shuffled back to her car, casting one last longing glance at Caleb. Emma exhaled, rubbing her temples. This was getting out of hand. Caleb caught her eye, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "You okay? Look like you're about to punch something." "Yeah, well, between Lila's hugfest and Hank's damn pharmacy delivery, I'm losing my mind," Emma said, half joking. But her heart was still racing from their kiss, and the way he was looking at her now, like she was the only thing that mattered, didn't help. Walter stomped into the barn, his face a mix of irritation and resolve. "All right, you two, enough moon-eyeing. We got a problem named Mason, and I ain't letting no city slicker tear up my land." He pointed at Caleb. "You spill it. What's this bastard got on you, and why's he sending goons?" Caleb leaned against the stall, his expression hardening. "Mason's. My cousin. He's been after my company, Rollins Tech, for years. It's worth millions, mostly from patents on farm tech. When I wouldn't sell, he started playing dirty, forged documents, spread lies about me being unstable. Even got a judge in Texas to question my mental state. I left to regroup, but he's got eyes everywhere." Emma's stomach twisted. "So you're saying he'll keep coming?" Caleb nodded. "He don't stop till he gets what he wants, or till someone stops him." Walter grunted. "Well, he picked the wrong damn ranch to mess with. I got a friend in Cheyenne, retired lawyer. Used to handle land disputes back when Wyoming was wilder than it is now. If you got any papers, he'll make 'em stick." Caleb's eyes widened. "You'd do that for me. I'd do it for the man who just bled in my barn and didn't shoot back when he could have." Walter said, his voice gruff. "That takes guts or stupidity. Either way, I can work with it." Emma's chest warmed. Her pa didn't trust easy, but that was as close to approval as he got. She glanced at Caleb, who looked like a weight had lifted just a little. "Thanks, sir," he said, his voice rough with gratitude. "Don't thank me yet," Walter said, heading for the door. "And for God's sake, keep Lila out of my kitchen. Girl's gonna bury us in pastries." By afternoon, the ranch was a hive of activity. Emma was out checking the fences, trying to clear her head. The kiss in the barn kept replaying Caleb's hands, his breath the way her body had lit up like a damn firework. She wasn't some lovesick teenager, but hell, that man was trouble in the best way. She was tightening a post when Hank's truck rolled up, because of course it did. He hopped out carrying a toolbox and a grin that said he was trying too hard. "Hey, Emma. Thought I'd swing by, help with the fences. Can't have you doing all the heavy lifting." Emma sighed. "Hank, I got it, and Caleb's already on it." Hank's smile faltered, his eyes flicking to the ridge where Caleb was working. "Yeah, well, that guy's got secrets. You sure you trust him?" "I mean, I'm right here, Emma. Always have been." She softened, but only a little. Hank was a good guy, just not her guy. "I appreciate you, Hank, but I can handle my own. Go home. Take a break. You're gonna wear yourself out." He nodded, deflated, and climbed back into his truck. As he drove off, Tina appeared smirking. "Sis, you got Hank looking like a kicked puppy, and Lila's probably writing Caleb love poems by now. You better lock that cowboy down before this gets messier." "Girl, hush," Emma said, but she couldn't help a laugh. Tina had a point. This ranch was turning into a damn love triangle convention. That evening, Emma found herself back in the kitchen, the radio playing low this time, some old Sam Cooke. She was chopping onions for a stew when Caleb knocked on the doorframe, hat in hand, his wound freshly bandaged. "Mind if I come in? Smells like heaven in here." She nodded, trying to ignore the flutter in her chest. "Grab a seat. Stew's almost done." He sat at the table, watching her work. "You're good at this. Cooking, running the ranch, taking in strays like me." She smirked. "Don't get too comfortable, cowboy. I'm still deciding if you're worth the trouble." He chuckled, and the sound warmed the room. "Fair enough. My ma used to make stew like this. Said it could fix damn near anything." Emma glanced over her shoulder. "Your ma sounds like mine. Always said food was love you could taste." Their eyes met, and the air shifted again like it had in the barn. But before she could say more, the door burst open, and Lila stumbled in, holding a tray of cookies. Her face bright red. "Emma, Caleb, I made oatmeal raisin this time. I thought, after last night you might need something sweet." Emma's patience snapped Lila. For the love of God. We're swimming in desserts. Go back to the diner, girl. Lila's lip trembled, but she set the tray down and fled the door, slamming behind her. Caleb raised a brow. She's enthusiastic. She's a damn nuisance, Emma muttered, then sighed. She's sweet, just got her head in the clouds. Caleb leaned back, his voice soft. You don't like her hanging around me, do you? Emma froze. Caught. I don't care who hangs around you. She lied, turning back to the stove. Uh-huh, he said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. For what it's worth, I ain't looking at her, or anyone else. Her heart skipped, but she kept her back to him, stirring the stew like her life depended on it. Good to know, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. The next day, the ranch was tense, like a storm was brewing without clouds. Emma was in the corral working with Bandit when a familiar sedan pulled up. Lila again, this time with a thermos of soup. Emma, I just wanted to say sorry for yesterday, she said, her voice small. I know I've been a lot. Caleb's so nice, and I got carried away. Emma softened. Lila was young, naive, and clearly smitten. It's fine, Lila. Just ease up. Okay, we got enough going on. Lila nodded, then hesitated. I heard something at the diner. That guy who came looking for Caleb Mason. Some folks say he's bad news. Like really bad. I just thought you should know. Emma's gut tightened. Thanks, Lila. Keep your ears open. Yeah. As Lila drove off, Hank's truck rolled in, because why not? He carried a bundle of rope, his face. Ernest. Emma, I know you're busy, but I brought this for the corral. And, I'm worried about you. That Caleb guy's bringing trouble. You don't need that. Emma sighed. Hank, I get it. You're looking out. But I can handle trouble. Always have. He nodded, but his shoulders slumped as he left. Emma watched him go, feeling a pang of guilt. Hank was a good man, just not the one who made her heart race. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat on the porch, the stars sprawling above her mind on Caleb Mason and the mess they were in. The barn door creaked open, and Caleb stepped out, his silhouette tall against the moonlight. He joined her, sitting on the steps, close enough that she could feel his warmth. You don't sleep much, do you? He asked, his voice low. Not lately, she said, glancing at him. You either, he shrugged. Got a lot on my mind. Mason's not just after my money. He wants to break me. Always has. Emma turned to him, her voice firm. He ain't breaking you here. Not on my land. Caleb looked at her, his eyes searching. Why do you care, Emma? You don't even know me. She hesitated, then said, Maybe I'm starting to. He reached out his hand, brushing hers, and the air crackled. For a moment she thought he'd kiss her again, but he just squeezed her hand, his touch steady, grounding. Thank you, he said, and the weight of those words felt like a promise. The Wyoming dawn was a quiet one, the kind that promised peace but rarely delivered. Emma Jackson stood in the corral, her breath fogging in the crisp air, her hands steady as she saddled Bandit. The ranch was her anchor, but lately it felt like a powder keg waiting for a spark. Mason Rollins' threat hung over them like a storm cloud, and Caleb's secrets, his millions, his company, his damn cousin were pulling her into a fight she hadn't asked for. Worse, her heart was getting tangled up in it, and that was a complication she didn't need. Tina burst out of the house, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her face lit up with gossip. Sis, you hear what's going around town? Folks at the diner are talking about Caleb saying he's some kind of fugitive hiding out here. Lila's been flapping her gums, telling everyone you're sheltering a criminal. Emma's jaw tightened. Lila said, "What?" "Yeah," Tina said, eyes wide. "She overheard you and Caleb talking about Mason, and now she's spinning it like he's Bonnie and Clyde rolled into one. People are eating it up." Emma cursed under her breath. Lila Thompson, with her naive crush and big mouth, was turning a spark into a wildfire. "I swear that girl's gonna get a piece of my mind." "Don't be too hard on her," Tina said, smirking. "She's just jealous, 'cause Caleb's got eyes for you. But like, maybe cool it with the barn makeouts. Whole town's buzzing." Emma shot her a look. "Go to school, Tina, and keep your nose out of my business." Tina laughed, hopping into her beat-up Honda. "Love you, sis. Don't shoot." Lila, as Tina drove off. Emma's gaze drifted to the barn where Caleb was stacking hay. His movements slow but determined. The bandage on his temple was fresh, but the bruises from Mason's goons lingered, a reminder of the trouble he'd brought. She wanted to trust him. Hell, she was halfway there. But Lila's rumors and Mason's shadow were making that harder by the minute. Before she could head to the barn, Hank Wheeler's truck rumbled down the drive, kicking up dust. He stepped out, his flannel rolled up to show off his arms, carrying a sack of feed like it was a damn bouquet. "Morning, Emma," he called, his grin faltering when he saw her expression. "You okay? Heard some talk in town about that cowboy of yours." Emma crossed her arms. "He ain't my cowboy, Hank." "And what's this talk you're hearing?" Hank set the feed down, scratching his neck. "Folks saying he's running from the law. Something about a big company and stolen money. Lila's been telling everyone at the diner you're hiding him. I'm worried, Emma. You don't need this kind of trouble." Emma's blood boiled. "Lila's got no business spreading lies, and you," she jabbed a finger at him. "Stop acting like I need saving. I can handle my own damn ranch." Hank's ears turned red. "I know you can, Emma. I care about you. Always have that Caleb guy. He's got money, sure, but he's dragging you into a mess. I'd never do that." Emma softened, "But only a little, Hank. I appreciate you. But I don't need a hero. I need you to trust. I know what I'm doing." He nodded his shoulders, slumping. "All right, but I'm here if you need me." "Always." He climbed back into his truck, the engine roaring as he left. Emma muttered a curse. Her patience fraying Lila's rumors. Hank's puppy dog loyalty and Mason's threats were closing in like a noose. She stormed toward the barn, ready to confront Caleb, but stopped short when she saw him. He was shirtless, stacking hay bales, his muscles flexing under scarred skin, the fancy watch glinting in the sunlight. For a moment, she forgot why she was mad. He caught her staring and grinned. "Something on your mind, Emma?" She snapped out of it, crossing her arms. "Yeah, the whole damn town's talking about you. Thanks to Lila. She's saying you're a fugitive hiding out here. People think I'm harboring a criminal." Caleb's grin vanished, his face hardening. "Shit. She overheard us talking about Mason, didn't she?" "Looks like it," Emma said, her voice sharp. "You gotta come clean, Caleb. All of it. Who are you really? And why's Mason so hell-bent on ruining you?" Caleb set the hay bale down, wiping sweat from his brow. "I told you most of it. I built Rollins Tech from nothing. Patents, software farm equipment that cuts costs for ranchers like you. Made millions. Mason, my cousin, wanted a piece, but I wouldn't give it up. He started spreading lies, saying I was unhinged, unfit to run the company, forged documents to make it look like I'd embezzled funds. I left Texas to protect what's mine. But he's got lawyers and money, and he's not stopping." Emma's chest tightened. "So you're saying he's framing you?" "Exactly," Caleb said, his eyes burning. "He's trying to paint me as a criminal so he can take the company. And now he's using you to get to me." Emma's mind raced. She wanted to believe him, but the rumors, the attack, the damn watch, they were all pieces of a puzzle she couldn't solve. "If you're telling the truth, why didn't you fight back in Texas? Why run?" Caleb's jaw clenched. "Because I was alone. No one believed me over Mason's lies. I needed time to figure out how to fight him. Didn't expect to end up here, though. His voice softened. Or to meet you. Her heart skipped, but she pushed it down. Don't sweet-talk me, cowboy. I need to know you're not playing me for a fool. He stepped closer, his eyes locking with hers. I swear, Emma, I'm not playing you. You're the only thing keeping me grounded right now. The air between them crackled, but before she could respond, a sleek black Range Rover roared down the drive, the same one Mason had driven days ago. Emma's stomach dropped. Speak of the damn devil. Walter was already on the porch. Shotgun in hand, his face like thunder. Caleb grabbed his shirt, pulling it on as he followed Emma to the yard. Mason stepped out, his suit pristine, his smile venomous. 2 men flanked him. Both built like linebackers, their eyes hidden behind sunglasses. Well, well, Mason drawled, surveying the ranch like he owned it. Looks like you've been busy, cousin. His gaze landed on Caleb, then slid to Emma. And you, Miss Jackson, have been mighty generous, harboring a wanted man. Walter stepped forward, shotgun across his chest. You got 3 seconds to state your business or I start shooting. Mason raised his hands. Mock surrender. No need for that, old man. I'm here with a court order. He pulled a folded document from his jacket, waving it like a flag. Temporary injunction filed yesterday. Challenges. Caleb's ownership of Rollins Tech, based on mental duress and financial misconduct. In plain English, he's not fit to hold the company, and I'm taking it. Emma's blood ran cold. That's bullshit, she snapped. You can't just waltz in here with a piece of paper and steal his life. Mason's smile widened. Oh, sweetheart, this ain't stealing. It's justice. Caleb's been dodging the law and you're aiding him. That makes you an accessory. Caleb stepped forward, his voice low. Dangerous. You forged those papers, Mason. Just like you forged the ones in Texas. You think I don't know? Mason chuckled. Prove it, cousin. Oh, wait, you can't. You're a fugitive with no credibility. And this little ranch, he gestured around, won't stand a chance when my lawyers are done. Emma's fists clenched. Get off my land, you slimy bastard. Mason tilted his head unfazed. I'll give you a day to think it over. Hand Caleb over, or I'll make sure this place is tied up in court till you're begging for mercy. He climbed back into the Range Rover, his goons following, and the dust swallowed them as they left. Walter spat on the ground. That son of a bitch thinks he can scare us. He's got another thing coming. Emma turned to Caleb, her voice shaking with anger. Is he telling the truth? Are you wanted? No, Caleb said, his eyes fierce. He's lying, Emma. That injunction's fake, but he's got enough pull to make it look real. If I don't fight this, he'll take everything. Then fight, she said, her voice firm. You're not alone anymore. He looked at her, something raw in his expression. You don't know what you're signing up for. Maybe not, she said. But I'm in. That afternoon, the ranch felt like a war zone, everyone on edge. Emma was in the kitchen trying to focus on chores when Mrs. Dolores burst in her arms full of cornbread and outrage. Emma Jackson. What in God's name is going on? Lila's got the whole town thinking you're running a criminal hideout, and now some fancy lawyer's poking around. I ought to tan that girl's hide. Emma groaned. Dolores. I'm handling it. Lila's just confused. Confused my ass. Dolores huffed. She's jealous, plain as day. Thinks she's got a shot with your cowboy. You better set her straight before this gets worse. Malik showed up next, his vet truck parked out front. Yo, Emma Town's losing it. Lila's telling everyone. Caleb's a crook. And now folks are siding with that Mason guy, 'cause he's flashing cash. You need backup. Emma nodded, grateful. Keep an eye out, Malik. And if you see Lila, tell her to keep her damn mouth shut." As Malik left, Lila's sedan pulled up and Emma braced herself. Lila stepped out, eyes red, wringing her hands. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I heard you talking about Mason, and I thought Caleb was dangerous, and I told Jenny at the diner, and Emma cut her off, her voice sharp. "Lila, you gotta stop. You're hurting people with this gossip. Caleb's not a criminal, and you're making things worse for all of us." Lila's lip trembled. "I was just scared for you, and maybe I was jealous. Caleb's so nice, and I thought, I don't know. I'm so stupid." Emma sighed, her anger softening. "You're not stupid, Lila. Just young. Go back to the diner. Keep your head down and stop talking about us, okay?" Lila nodded, tears spilling, and drove off. Emma rubbed her temples, feeling the weight of it all. Hank's truck appeared next, and she nearly screamed. He hopped out carrying a new shovel. "Emma, I heard about that lawyer guy. You need me to stick around. I can keep an eye on things." "Hank, for the love of God, go home," Emma said, her patience gone. "I got enough knights in shining armor." Hank's face fell, but he nodded. "All right, but I'm here. Emma, always." He left the shovel still in hand, looking like a kid who'd lost his best friend. That evening, the community rallied. Mrs. Dolores organized a meeting at the town's annual farmers market, a dusty lot filled with stalls of honey jerky and homemade quilts. The air smelled of barbecue and hay, and a local band played twangy country tunes. Emma stood at her honey stall, Caleb beside her, his presence drawing stares. Malik and Tina were there, passing out flyers to clear Caleb's name, while Sheriff Lopez, a no-nonsense Latina with a sharp eye, patrolled the crowd. Dolores took the makeshift stage, her voice booming. "All right, y'all, listen up. We got a snake in a suit named Mason Rollins, trying to ruin one of our own. Caleb ain't no criminal. He's a man fighting for what's his, and Emma Jackson's putting her neck on the line for him. We gonna let some city bastard tear this town apart." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others skeptical. Tina stepped up, her voice clear. "Y'all know Emma. She's been here through blizzards, droughts, and every damn thing. She don't back down, and she don't lie. If she says Caleb's good, he's good." She pulled out her phone, queuing up Aretha Franklin's "Ain't No Way," and sang her voice raw and powerful, filling the market with soul. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Emma felt a lump in her throat. Caleb leaned close, his voice low. "Your sister's something else." "Yeah," Emma said, her eyes misty. "She's my heart." Lila appeared at the edge of the crowd, her face pale. She approached Emma, voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Emma. I messed up. I told everyone I was wrong about Caleb. I wanted him to like me, but I see how he looks at you." Emma sighed, her anger fading. "It's okay, Lila. Just help us fix this. All right." Lila nodded, joining Tina to hand out flyers, her eyes brighter now. The market ended with the town divided, but leaning toward Emma, a small victory in a growing war. That night, Emma sat in the kitchen, the radio off, the silence heavy. Caleb was in the barn, Walter in his room, and Tina at a friend's. The weight of Mason's injunction, Lila's rumors, and Hank's hurt feelings pressed on her. She told Caleb she was in, but in what? A fight for a man she barely knew, whose kiss still burned on her lips. The door creaked and Caleb stepped in his hat off his eyes, searching. "You all right?" "No," she admitted, her voice raw. "I'm scared. Caleb, Mason's got power, and I'm just a rancher with a shotgun and a stubborn streak. What if we lose?" He sat across from her, his hand reaching for hers. "You won't lose. Not with me here. Not with your town behind you. Mason's got money. But you've got something he'll never understand. Heart. She looked at him, her throat tight. You're gonna get me in deep, aren't you? He smiled, soft and real. Only if you let me. The air crackled, but before they could close the distance, the phone rang, shattering the moment Emma answered, her face paling as Sheriff Lopez's voice came through Emma. We got a problem. Mason's filed a new claim saying Caleb's land in Texas is tied to your ranch now. He's coming for you both. Emma hung up her hands, shaking. He's not just after you, Caleb. He's after my home. Caleb's face darkened, his voice. A vow. Then we fight together. The Wyoming sky was a deep indigo stars, sharp as pinpricks above the Carpenter Ranch. Emma Jackson stood on the porch, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. Gone cold, her mind racing. Mason Rollins's latest move, tying Caleb's Texas land to her ranch in a legal stranglehold, felt like a noose tightening. She'd told Caleb they'd fight, but the truth gnawed at her. Mason had money lawyers and a knack for twisting the truth. She was just a rancher with a shotgun, a stubborn heart, and a cowboy who'd kissed her like she was his last chance at salvation. Inside, Walter was cleaning his rifle, his face set in stone. That bastard Mason thinks he can take our land over my dead body, he growled, oiling the barrel with a focus that meant business. Emma nodded, but her stomach churned. Pa, we need more than guns. If that injunction's real, we're screwed. Walter glanced up, his eyes softer. You trust that cowboy, don't you? She hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I do. Then we fight for him, Walter said, simple as that. Got a call from my lawyer friend in Cheyenne. He's looking into Mason's papers, says they smell like bullshit. Emma managed a small smile. Her pa didn't throw trust around easy, and Caleb earning it was no small thing. But before she could respond, headlights cut through the dark, a rusty pickup. Not Mason's sleek Range Rover. An older man stepped out. His face weathered his Stetson, worn but proud. He carried a leather satchel, and his stride was steady despite his age. Walter squinted, lowering the rifle. Jasper. That you damn right, Walt. The man said, his voice gravelly but warm. He climbed the porch steps, nodding at Emma. You must be Emma. I'm Jasper Tate. Used to manage Rollins Tech for Caleb's daddy. Back when it was just a dream in a barn. Emma's pulse quickened. You know Caleb, like my own kin. Jasper said, his eyes crinkling. Heard he's holed up here fighting that snake Mason. I got something that'll help. Something. They moved inside where Caleb was sitting at the kitchen table. His bandage fresh, his face taut with exhaustion. He stood when he saw Jasper. A flicker of hope breaking through Jasper. What the hell you doing here? Jasper clapped Caleb's shoulder. Saving your sorry-ass boy. He opened the satchel, pulling out a stack of documents, yellowed, but official. These are the original contracts for Rollins Tech signed by your granddaddy. Mason's been using forgeries to claim the company, but these prove you're the rightful owner. And this, he held up a notarized letter. It's from your old accountant swearing. Mason faked the embezzlement charges. I've been sitting on this waiting for the right moment. Caleb's jaw dropped. How'd you get all this? Jasper grinned. I'm old, not stupid. Been watching Mason's moves since you left Texas. Knew you'd need a trump card. Emma's heart leaped. This can stop him. With the right lawyer, yeah, Jasper said. And I hear Walt's got one who's meaner than a rattler. Walter smirked. Damn right, I'll call him now. As Walter stepped out to make the call, Emma looked at Caleb, seeing the relief in his eyes. You okay? She asked, her voice soft. He nodded, his hand brushing hers. Better than I've been in a long time. Thanks to you. The air between them sparked, but before it could ignite, Tina burst in her phone, buzzing. Sis, Sheriff Lopez just texted. She's got dirt on Mason. Big dirt. Says she's coming over. Emma's eyes widened. What kind of dirt? Dunno, but she sounds pissed, Tina said, grinning. This is getting good. Sheriff Maria Lopez arrived within the hour, her cruiser pulling up with a crunch of gravel. She was a force mid-40s Latina with a no-nonsense glare that could make a bull back down. She carried a manila folder, her badge glinting under the porch light. Emma, Caleb, Walt. She greeted, nodding to each. Jasper. Good to see you. Heard you brought the cavalry. Jasper tipped his hat. Just the paperwork, ma'am. Lopez set the folder on the kitchen table, her voice all business. I've been digging into Mason Rollins' guys dirtier than a pig pen. My contacts in Texas pulled records, bank transactions, shell companies, the works. He's been washing money through fake land deals using Caleb's company as a front. These. She tapped the folder. Our wire transfers linking him to a known fixer in Dallas. Feds are already sniffing around, Caleb's fists clenched. That son of a bitch. He's been setting me up for years. Lopez nodded. And he's cocky. Thought he could waltz into Wyoming and bully you out. But with Jasper's documents and my evidence, we can bury him. Walter returned, phone in hand. Lawyer's on board. Says we need to take this to Cheyenne State Courthouse. He'll meet us there tomorrow. Mason's injunction won't hold up against this. Emma's chest, loosened hope flickering. So we can stop him for good. If we move fast, Lopez said. Mason's got pull, but he's not untouchable. I'll escort you to Cheyenne. Make sure no one pulls any stunts. Caleb looked at Emma, his voice low. You don't have to do this, you know. This is my fight. She met his gaze, unflinching. It's our fight now. You're on my land, cowboy. That makes it personal. He smiled, small but real, and the room felt warmer for it. Tina, watching from the corner, whispered to Jasper. They're so in love. It's gross. Jasper chuckled. Let 'em be, kid. They've earned it. The next morning, Emma, Caleb, Walter, and Jasper piled into Walter's truck, the documents and evidence secured in a lockbox. Sheriff Lopez led the way, and her cruiser lights flashing as they headed for Cheyenne. The drive was quiet. The rolling plains, stretching out under a sky so blue it hurt to look at Emma, sat in the back with Caleb, their shoulders brushing the tension between them, a mix of fear and something deeper. You nervous? She asked, her voice low. Little bit. He admitted, his hand resting close to hers. But I'm not alone this time. That's new. She squeezed his hand, quick and firm. You're not. In Cheyenne, the courthouse was a squat brick building, smelling of old wood and bureaucracy. Walter's lawyer, Tom Hargrove, was waiting, a grizzled man in his 60s with a cane and a reputation for chewing up crooked suits like Mason. He shook Caleb's hand, eyeing the documents. This is gold. Son, Mason's gonna wish he stayed in Texas. The hearing was swift but brutal. Mason was there, flanked by two high-priced lawyers, his smile smug, until Hargrove presented Jasper's contracts and Lopez's evidence. The judge, a stern woman with no patience for theatrics, tore into Mason's injunction, calling it a house of cards built on fraud. She dismissed the claim, issued a warrant for Mason's arrest on suspicion of money laundering, and ordered his assets. Frozen pending investigation. Mason's face went white, his charm crumbling. This ain't over, Caleb, he hissed, as deputies cuffed him. Caleb stared him down. You made one mistake, Mason. You thought I was still alone. As Mason was led away, Emma felt a weight lift. The courtroom emptied, and Hargrove clapped Caleb's shoulder. You're free, son. Company's yours. No question. Caleb nodded, but his eyes were on Emma. I owe you everything, he said, his voice thick. She smirked, hiding the warmth in her chest. Don't get sappy on me, cowboy. Back at the ranch, the mood was lighter. But the fight wasn't over. Mason was down, not out, and Emma knew he'd slither back if given the chance. That evening, she and Caleb rode out to the northern ridge, the highest point on the land where a lone pine stood sentinel. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of apricot and crimson, the grass swaying in a gentle breeze. They dismounted, tying the horses to a post, and stood under the tree, the world quiet, except for their breathing. Caleb turned to her, his face serious. "Emma, I've been running a long time, from Mason, from myself, but here with you, I stopped running. You gave me a reason to fight, not just for my company, but for something real." Her throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "What are you saying, Caleb?" He reached into his saddlebag, pulling out a small wooden box. His hands trembled as he opened it, revealing a simple silver ring engraved inside with, "Home is where you stay." "I don't have fancy words," he said, his voice raw. "But I've got this land a name that's clear now, and a heart that only started beating right when I met you. I don't need a church or a crowd, just your hand in mine for as long as the sun keeps rising over these hills." Emma's breath caught tears welling. She covered her mouth, her laugh shaky. "You're gonna make me cry, you damn fool. Is that a yes?" he asked, his eyes searching. She nodded, stepping into his arms, her voice a whisper. "Hell, yes." Their lips met soft at first, then fierce, the kiss a promise sealed under the Wyoming sky. His hands cupped her face, her fingers tangled in his hair, and for a moment the world was just them, the pine and the endless horizon. When they pulled back, breathless, Emma laughed, wiping her eyes. "I don't need your millions, Caleb. Just you." "Good," he said, slipping the ring on her finger, "'cause I'm giving you the land anyway. 2,000 acres in Texas signed to you. It's not a burden. It's a future." She stared at the ring, then at him. "Stunned, Caleb, that's—" "I can't." "You can," he said, his voice firm. "You're the only one I trust to make it something good." The next day, the ranch was alive with celebration. Mrs. Dolores organized a barbecue at the farmer's market, the air thick with the smell of ribs and cornbread. Malik spun tunes on a portable speaker. Tina sang a soulful rendition of A Natural Woman, and even Walter cracked a smile passing out beers. The town had rallied their doubts about Caleb, erased by the courthouse victory. Lila approached Emma, her face shy, but resolute. "Emma, I'm so sorry for the rumors. I was stupid, thinking I could compete with you. Caleb's yours, always was. I'm happy for you." Emma pulled her into a hug. "You're all right, Lila. Just stick to bacon for the diner, yeah?" Lila laughed, tears in her eyes. "Deal. And I'm seeing Malik now. He's sweet in his own goofy way." Emma grinned. "Good for you, girl." Hank was there too, quieter than usual, but he handed Emma a hand-carved wooden chair, his gift for the ranch. "I know. I pushed too hard," he said, his voice low. "But I'm glad you're happy." "Emma, Caleb's a lucky man." She squeezed his arm. "You're a good friend, Hank. Always will be." He nodded, a small smile breaking through, and joined the crowd, grabbing a beer with Malik. The barbecue stretched into the night, laughter and music filling the air, the community stronger for it. Back at the ranch, Emma and Caleb sat on the porch, the stars above a blanket of light. She leaned against him, the ring glinting on her finger, her heart full. "We did it," she said, her voice soft. "Mason's gone. The land's safe. For now." Caleb set his arm around her. "But I'm not going anywhere, Emma. This is home." She looked up, her eyes meeting his. "Damn right it is." They kissed again, slow and sure, the Wyoming night wrapping them in its quiet embrace. The fight wasn't over. Mason's kind never stayed down. But for the first time, Emma felt ready. With Caleb, her family, and her town behind her, she could face anything. The Wyoming spring was a miracle, the kind that turned the Carpenter Ranch into a sea of green under a sky so wide, it felt like freedom. Emma Jackson stood in the pasture behind the barn, her boots sinking into the soft earth, her heart pounding like a drum. Today wasn't just any day. It was her wedding day. The air smelled of wildflowers and cedar, and the horses gathered near the fence, their heads bobbing like curious guests. She adjusted the silver necklace at her throat, her mama's gift, and took a deep breath. This was it. A year had passed since Mason Rollins' defeat in Cheyenne, and the ranch had transformed. The 80 acres Emma had fought to keep were now part of the Whitaker Carpenter Ranch, a sprawling 2,000-acre haven born from Caleb's Texas land and their shared dream. It wasn't just a ranch anymore. It was a refuge. Old horses no one wanted roamed free in the pastures. Veterans with scars deeper than skin came to find peace, drawn by word of mouth. Troubled teens from group homes arrived skeptical, but left calling it home, their laughter echoing across the fields. Emma, now 29, had grown into her role with a confidence that lit up the land. She ran daily operations with grit and grace, teaching riding lessons, delivering foals in the dead of night, and cooking gumbo for community dinners that brought the town together. Her laughter, once rare, rang out loud and clear, a sound that made the ranch feel alive. Caleb, clean-shaven most days, and no longer limping, fixed everything from gates to hearts. He wasn't one for speeches, but when a shy teen called him Uncle Caleb, he'd just nod his hand on the kid's shoulder, and that was enough. Today, though, was about them. Emma and Caleb, two souls who'd found each other in a storm and built something unbreakable. The pasture was set with a hand-built cedar arch draped in wildflowers, rows of mismatched chairs filled with friends and neighbors. Mrs. Dolores bustled about barking orders like a drill sergeant, her cornbread already a hit. Malik spun soul tunes on a speaker, grinning as he flirted with Lila, who'd traded her naive crush for a steady glow. Hank Wheeler, still the loyal neighbor, helped set up tables, his easy smile proof he'd found peace. Tina emerged from the house, her braids woven with tiny flowers, her dress a vibrant yellow that matched her spirit. "Sis, you ready?" "You look like a damn queen," she said, her eyes misty. Emma smoothed her simple white dress, the fabric soft against her skin, her curls loose and shining. "Ready as I'll ever be," she said, her voice steady despite the butterflies. "You got the rings?" Tina patted her pocket. "Right here. Caleb's gonna lose his mind when he sees you." Emma laughed, but her heart swelled. She glanced at the barn, now painted a warm red, a sign above its doors reading Whitaker Carpenter Ranch, where the broken come to run free. It was their legacy, built on love trust, and a night she'd let a stranger sleep in her barn. Walter appeared, his flannel swapped for a rare button-up, his face softer than usual. "Come on, girl," he said, offering his arm. "Let's get you married before I start blubbering." Emma took his arm, her throat tight. "You crying, Pa?" "Hell no," he muttered, but a stubborn tear betrayed him. They walked down the aisle, a path of packed earth lined with daisies. As the crowd hushed, Malik cued up a slow guitar melody, and all eyes turned to Emma. At the arch, Caleb weighted his hat off his suit, simple but sharp, his hazel eyes locked on her like she was the only thing in the world. Her breath caught. He'd always been handsome, but today he was something else. Steady, whole hers. Walter handed her off, muttering to Caleb, "Don't make her cry, you damn fool." Caleb nodded, his smile soft, and took Emma's hands. The officiant, a local pastor with a voice like warm honey, began, but Emma barely heard. She was lost in Caleb's eyes in the way his thumbs brushed her knuckles, grounding her. When it was time for vows, Caleb went first, his voice low but clear. Emma, I was running when I came here from a past I couldn't outrun. You didn't just give me shelter, you gave me a reason to stay. You're tougher than this land, kinder than I deserve, and every damn day you make me want to be better. I promise to stand by you, to fight for you, to love you, till the stars burn out. Emma's eyes stung her laugh, shaky. Damn it, Caleb, you're making me cry already. The crowd chuckled and she took a breath, her voice steadying. I didn't trust you at first, pointing a shotgun at you in that storm, but you saw me, not just the rancher, not just the black woman fighting to belong, but me. You gave me your heart, your land, your everything. I promised to hold it all, to build with you, to love you through every storm. Tina handed over the rings, whispering, Y'all are too cute. It's gross. Emma slipped the band on Caleb's finger, and he did the same, the silver catching the sunlight. The pastor pronounced them married, and as they kissed, slow, fierce, full of promise, the crowd erupted. Dusty barked loud and proud, like he was giving his blessing, and Tina laughed through tears. The reception was pure Wyoming tables, laden with barbecue gumbo and Dolores's cornbread, a bonfire crackling under the stars, and Malik's playlist mixing soul and country. Lila, now confident and happy, with Malik danced with him, her laughter bright. Hank spun Tina around his grin, free of the old longing. Walter sat with Jasper, sharing whiskey and stories, his rare smile a gift. Emma and Caleb took the first dance, swaying to Sam Cooke's You Send Me Their Bodies Clothes, the world fading away. You're full of surprises, Mrs. Rollins, Caleb whispered, his lips brushing her ear. So are you, cowboy, she said, her voice warm. Don't ever stop. They danced until the song ended, then joined the crowd, laughter and love wrapping them tight. Later, as the stars blanketed the sky, they slipped away to the porch swing Walter had built, wrapped in a blanket, the ranch glowing under moonlight. No more running, Emma set her head on Caleb's shoulder. No more hiding, he agreed, kissing her temple. Behind them, the house was alive, Walter playing chess with a teen from the refuge, Tina singing softly, the radio humming a lullaby. The ranch wasn't just land. It was a promise, a place where broken things mended, where love grew in the cracks. Months earlier, the victory in Cheyenne had been a turning point, but Mason Rollins hadn't gone quietly. He'd posted bail, slithering back with a new lawyer and a desperate ploy, a claim that Caleb's Texas land was tied to a debt Emma couldn't pay. But Jasper's documents and Lopez's evidence held firm, and when Mason tried to bribe a local official, Sheriff Lopez was waiting. He was arrested again this time, with no way out, his empire crumbling under federal scrutiny. The town had stood by Emma and Caleb through it all. Mrs. Dolores turned the farmers' market into a rally, raising funds for legal fees. Malik and Lila spread the word, their new romance, a quiet light in the chaos. Hank, though heartbroken at first, found purpose helping the ranch's veterans, his woodworking skills crafting benches for the refuge. Tina, now a senior, went viral with her singing, her voice a beacon for the ranch's teens, giving them hope. The Whitaker Carpenter Ranch became more than a name. It was a legacy. Caleb used his wealth to install solar panels and drip irrigation, making the land sustainable. Emma led with her mama's spirit, hosting soul food nights that drew crowds from Cheyenne. The teens planted a community garden, the veterans built a therapy corral, and the horses ran free their manes, catching the wind. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Walter called Emma and Caleb to the barn. There, between two fence posts, hung a carved wooden sign, Whitaker Carpenter Ranch, where we begin again. Emma touched it, her throat tight. You made this. Pa, Walter shrugged. Seemed fittin'. This place gave us all a second shot. Ought to say so. Caleb looked at him, a question in his eyes. You okay with my name up there? Walter smirked. I shot a man for you, son. Your family. They laughed, the sound carrying across the fields. The ranch wasn't perfect. There were still Bill's broken fences and the ghosts of Mason's threats, but it was theirs, built on love, grit, and a night. Emma trusted a stranger under the stars. Emma and Caleb sat on the swing, the ranch alive around them. You think your granddaddy'd be proud? She asked, her voice soft. Caleb smiled. He'd love you more than me. She grinned. Smart man. They fell silent, the kind that held no tension, just peace. In a world that moved too fast, their story was a quiet one. Born in a barn, carried on horseback, sealed with a love that asked for nothing but a place to stay. Caleb hadn't just found shelter that night, he'd found home, And Emma hadn't just saved a man, she'd saved herself, proving that one act of kindness could turn a stranger into family. Folks, are you teary-eyed from Emma and Caleb's wedding, or inspired by the Whitaker Carpenter Ranch's legacy? Lila and Hank found their place, and love won the day. This is what Soul-Stirring Stories is all about. Hope, heart, and second chances. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. What's your favorite moment, and what story do you want next? Let's keep the love alive. See you in the next tale.